Good evening, everyone. It is Monday, March the 11th. The time is 7 p.m. I'm calling to order this regular meeting of Town Council. I'd like to welcome all viewers who are watching online. Also, I'd like to welcome our CAO, Jeff Baker, Municipal Clerk, Kim Casely, our Police Chief, Louis Sutherland, and welcome to all councillors. All councillors are present. Before we begin, I want to acknowledge that the land upon which we gather is the unceded Mi'kmaq territory and is covered by the historic treaties of peace and friendship. We pay our respects to the Indigenous Mi'kmaq people who have occupied this island for over 12,000 years, past, present, and future. Councillors, the agenda is before you. We do have one piece of correspondence to add to the agenda tonight, and I've given a copy to each of you on your desk. And other than that, I would look for an approval or a motion to adopt the agenda as presented with the addition. Moved by Councillor Toombs, seconded by Councillor McCrae. Did you have your hand up? Yes, Councillor McCrae. All those in favour? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. Councillors, are there any declarations of conflict of interest on any of the items that are coming before us tonight? Councillor Mann?
No, thank you, Worship. I should probably declare conflict on the one. This is
The one that just come in,
probably. So
okay, all right, thanks, and we'll try to remember that. If there's nothing else, we will move along. There's no delegations, so we'll move right along to the minutes of the previous meeting. Those minutes are before you, Council. Are there any errors or omissions on the minutes of February the 12th? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adopt them as presented. So moved by Deputy Mayor Spencer, seconded by Councillor Doucette. All those in favour? Motion carried. What did I say? Did I say something wrong? Oh, I thought the way you were looking at me, did I call Councillor Doucette wrong, but wrong name? Sometimes I've called him Councillor Duroche, and I thought, did I say that again? Okay, good. Thank you. You had me worried there, Deputy. All right. I think that was motion carried unanimously. Any business rising out of the minutes of February the 12th? Get back on track here now. No business rising? All right, we'll move right along to the Chief Administrative Officer's report. That report is before you. Council, are there any questions on the CAO's report? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adopt the report as of February. So moved by Councillor McCrae, seconded by Councillor Doucette. All those in favour? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. The next item is the Fire Department Statistical Report. That report is before you. Are there any questions on the Fire Department Statistical Report? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adopt the report as presented. So moved by Councillor Toombs, seconded by Councillor Doucette. All those in favour? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Council. All right, the Police Department Statistical Report is before you. Any questions on the Police Department Statistical Report? Councillor Doucette.
Thanks, Your Worship. Just looking into the child pornography case, is that a new case, or was that still kind of counted as for the existing one that was back a few months? It is a new one. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, this is a new one. We have 3 on the go right now.
Thank you, Chief. And any other questions, Council? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adopt the Police Department report as of January. So moved by Deputy Mayor Spencer, seconded by Councillor Doucette. All those in favour? Motion carried unanimously. Chief, did you have anything further to bring before us tonight?
No, sir, I'm fine. Everything's under control.
All right, great. Thanks, Chief.
I'm going to take off if that's okay.
Thank you, Chief. Thanks for attending. All right. The Development Permit Summary Report is before you. Are there any questions on the Development Permit Summary Report, Council? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adopt that report as presented. So moved by Councillor McCrae, seconded by Councillor Doucette, I believe. All those in favour? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. There is no bills list for tonight's meeting and no consolidated income statement, so we'll move right along to the Credit Union Center report. That report is before you. Councilor, are there any questions on the Credit Union Center report? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adopt that report as presented. So moved by Deputy Mayor Spencer, seconded by Councilor Doucette. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. Okay, the mayor's report is before you. Any questions on the mayor's report? I don't believe I have anything further to add that's not already in there. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the report as presented. So moved by Deputy Mayor Spencer, seconded by Councillor Toombs. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. Moving right along to the Federation of PEI Municipalities, Councillor Mann, do you have anything to report?
No update. We didn't have a meeting in the month of February, so.
All right, thank you. Councillor McCrae, the Kensington Area Chamber of Commerce, anything to report?
Thank you, Your Worship. I just want to give an update that on March the 13th, there's a conversation with MP Heath MacDonald. It's at the Kensington Legion. It starts at 6:30. And to reserve your seat, you email the chamber. And on March the 21st, the Kensington Chamber is hosting a session on protecting valuable workers in the workplace. It's presented by the Workers' Compensation, and it's at Town Hall here between 9 and 10:30. And on April the 25th, we can just mark our calendars, it's the President's Event, Casino Night at New London Community Complex. That's everything I have.
Thank you, Councillor McCrae. Any questions of Councillor McCrae? Hearing none, we'll move along to the Heart of PEI Committee report, and there's nothing new to report on that one as well. So we'll go right into new business. The first item of new business is request for a decision number 24-07, which is the Kensington Intermediate Senior High Hockey Friendship Tournament donation. Council, that information is before you. Are there any questions or clarification needed? Hearing none, who wants to read into record the recommendation? Councilor McCrae.
Be it resolved that Town Council approve a donation to the 2024 Kensington Intermediate Senior High School Friendship Hockey Tournament in the amount of $1,000.
Thank you, Councillor McCrae. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Toombs. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. Moving right along to request for decision number 8, which is the Queen Elizabeth Hospital Foundation Big Day of Giving donation. That information is before you. Are there any questions or clarification needed on that request for decision? Hearing none, who wants to read into the record the resolution? Councillor Glant.
Thank you, Your Worship. Be it resolved that Town Council approve a donation to the 2024 Queen Elizabeth Big Day event of giving fundraising campaign in the amount of $200.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Toombs. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. All right, we'll move right along to the development permit application on request for decision number 9 to M&S Rentals. Council, that information is before you. Are there any questions or any clarification needed on the request for decision that is before you? Do you, Mr. Baker, do you have anything that needs to be added, or is it all fairly straightforward? There's nothing new?
Should be fairly straightforward. There is a short list of conditions there, which are fairly standard for any major developments like that that we do. So it should be fairly straightforward from that perspective.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Any questions, Council? All right. Who wants to read into the record the resolution? Go ahead, Deputy.
Thank you, Your Worship. Be it resolved that Kensington Town Council approve a development permit application for M&S Rentals for the construction of 3 8-unit apartment-style multi-unit dwellings along Sunset Drive, PID number 1050095, conditional upon the following: approval of an entranceway permit from the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure, submission of a site plan with parking spaces and internal drive designated by a professional engineer, architect, or public land surveyor, section 4-2.2.2. Parking spaces must meet the minimum requirements by the bylaw at 8.5 feet by 18.0 feet, section 4.1.1. Submission of a detailed site plan and stormwater management plan prepared by a licensed engineer or qualified landscape architect, section 2.7. And the development must be connected to the municipal water and sewerage services, section 3.27. The site plan and/or drainage plan shall include the servicing plan details, section 2.6.2.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Do we have a seconder for that resolution? Seconded by Councillor Toombs. And all of these sections are referred to the new official plan and bylaws, correct, Mr. Baker? And that has already been signed off by the Minister of Communities. All right, Council, if there are any questions, clarification? If not, all those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Council. Next one is a development permit application for Frosty Treat Dairy Bar Limited, request for decision number 10. That information is before you. Council, are there any questions or clarification needed? You have anything to add, Mr. Baker? Is it all clear? Nothing new? So everything is as presented, nothing new has come in? Any discussion? Councillor Mann.
Yeah, I couldn't remember, did we run services to that lot when we did the business park?
They don't go right to the lot, no. They go to the end of, was it Brooklyn? No, not Brooklyn Drive, Darragh Drive. And I believe there, Mr. Baker, you have some information on what the plans are showing.
The plans show that they are going to extend the water and sewer from where it stops at the corner of Darragh Drive and Route 2. When we did construct the business park, we did stub a water and sewer connection off the business park line that would run along the property line between the new somebody help me, Rob Moffat development and the Kevin Waugh property. But the intention is not to service it through that corridor. The intention is to service it along the highway, which is the way we would prefer to see it done. Both could technically be done, but.
And I think they're planning to hook into the storm sewer that the province has put in there as well to take the water away from their operations. Any other discussion? Councillor Toombs, question?
So, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So were you going to run it out, or are they? Did you say they're going to?
At this stage, they're going to run it out.
Okay. Thank you.
That's what you wanted to hear, right?
Well, I just wanted to make sure I understood.
Yeah, that's what our understanding is at this stage. Is that not correct, Mr. Baker?
Yeah, there is a cost-sharing mechanism in the water and sewer legislation for the extension of water and sewer services where services don't exist. At this point in time, as Mayor Casely indicated, it's our understanding that the developer is going to be extending the water and sewer lines.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Council? Councillor Glant.
Thank you. I might have read it in here, but we just got it this morning, I think, and I could only see it on my phone. What about drainage for the parking area? Is that something that was all?
Yeah, they have a drainage plan, and the drainage plan, as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Baker, the drainage plan is to hook into the storm sewer on the number 2 highway. And the province has already put storm drains in to run. I think it goes across the road. I'm not sure where it goes, but that's correct, is it not, Mr. Baker?
That is correct. Yeah. If you go to the last page of the package, that's a copy of their grading and drainage plan. Yeah, it's preliminary at this point, which is why one of the conditions is that a final copy signed off by an engineer or public land surveyor. This one is issued for review only. So.
All right, any other questions, Council? Hearing none, who wants to read into the record the resolution? Councillor Toombs, go right ahead.
Be it resolved that Kensington Town Council approve a development permit application for Frosty Treat Dairy Bar Limited for the construction of 4 5-unit apartment buildings, 2 4-unit apartment buildings, and 1 6-unit apartment building on a property located at 25005 Route 2, PID number 76174, conditional upon the following. Approval of an entranceway permit from the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure on the proposed location of the single access and the intensification of use of the property. A fence to screen the garbage cans as shown on the drainage plan. A land use buffer or fence to separate the proposed residential development from the properties in the adjacent business park. Submission of building drawings to confirm the number of units and height of the proposed multi-unit dwellings as per section 2.5. Submission of a final site plan and drainage plan containing the signature and original raised seal, hard copy, or certified electronic signature PDF copy of the land surveyor and professional engineer responsible for the design of the proposed development.
Thank you, Councillor Chalmers. Do we have a second for that resolution? Seconded by Councillor Doucette, I believe, got the hand up first. All right, Council, and that development, you know, if you look at it, it's the plan is, was it $1.8 million for six units? So that total development, that's $10.2 million development that's being planned for out there, which is significant. All right, any questions? All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Council, you have just approved 58 housing units to be developed in the town of Kensington this year, hopefully starting soon. Significant. Okay. Let's move along to other matters. The first item of other matters is the Town of Kensington financial plan, including the capital budget. And Council, if you'll bear with me, I know everybody has received a copy of this, but I want to read into this my notes into the record, because there are potentially some people looking online that are observing, and I think there's good information to be presented here. So first, for the budget for this year, and we can discuss the financial figures after, I want to thank the staff for putting together a budget that will meet the requirements of the Town of Kensington as defined under the Municipal Government Act. The budget that is being presented is intended to maintain our current level of service and to not recommend any increase in property tax rates for either our residents or commercial businesses. The first draft was presented to a committee of council on Monday, February the 26th, and the draft was published online on our website at that time. This revised budget is the second draft and was posted on our website on Thursday, March the 7th, 2024. It has been advertised on social media indicating that it will be coming forward for tonight's council meeting for review on March the 11th, and the public were invited to attend. The Town of Kensington has experienced a great deal of growth over the past number of years, and our boundaries were expanded effective May the 1st, 2021. Our current population is estimated at 2,100 residents, and we continue to grow. This bodes well for the continued prosperity and sustainability of Kensington. Mr. Baker and I have been talking with our engineers in some of the planning, and we are anticipating the population at this stage of the game by 2030 to be somewhere around 3,000 residents, and planning is moving forward along those lines. Our new business park, located behind Trailside Plaza, has seen significant development in 2023 with the establishment of 2 new businesses, with many other discussions taking place with other interested parties. These 2 established businesses will bring continued job growth opportunities to our residents. Property tax revenues from these businesses will also help to support the infrastructure and services expected by our residents. Each year, it seems that preparing the budget gets more difficult. As a municipality in Prince Edward Island, we are required by law to provide a balanced budget and not run a deficit. If we incur a deficit in the current year, then we are required to include that deficit as the starting point in our next year's budget. Staff are aware of this and put great effort in providing a budget that can be achieved so that one bad year does not have to be budgeted for in the next year. Our current property tax rate for residential properties is 55 cents per $100 assessment. In approximately 2009, I'm not sure exactly what year it was, but it was around that time, it was arbitrarily dropped from 65 cents per $100 assessment to 55 cents per $100 assessment when the provincial government mandated the reduction of the town of Kensington's property tax rate and increased the provincial property tax rate by the same amount of 10 cents per $100 assessment. The effect on taxpayers was no actual increase in property taxes, but it did result in more property tax revenue going to the province and a corresponding drop in property tax revenue to the town. In exchange, the provincial government committed to compensating the town of Kensington by giving an annual grant to offset this loss of income. It was not long, however, before the provincial government forgot this commitment, and in approximately 2012, they actually reduced our grant by 3% from the previous year. However, with prudent management of our revenue stream and by promoting growth, we've been able to maintain our tax rate of 55 cents per $100 assessment for residential properties. In 2021, when the town of Kensington expanded the boundaries of the town, the provincial government approved the expansion with the stipulation that current property owners who were annexed would not have to pay any municipal property tax to the town for the first 5 years, and then it would only go up by 20% a year for the next 5 years. As a result, this decision means that the town of Kensington will not be receiving the full benefit of property taxes until 2031. However, the town has incurred the associated costs with this annexation, as we are required to provide policing services, fire department services, and other municipal services to these areas immediately. I mention this not to be picking on the provincial government, but to let everyone know why it is difficult to keep finding ways to live within our current property tax revenue stream. We continually work with the provincial government to strive for additional tax credits, increased equalization grants, policing training grants, etc. However, as we all know, the provincial government is also looking at ways to reduce their spending, so the discussions are not always easy and sometimes not very fruitful. The cost of policing has been growing faster than inflation over the past number of years, and the demand for policing services has been increasing. As much as we would like to return to the days of old when 1 or 2 officers could police the town, that is not possible. In 2023, Town Council approved the decision to extend our policing coverage to 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. A portion of this increased cost was offset by the elimination of many call-outs to off-duty officers who had to respond during off hours, which resulted in overtime. It has resulted in an increased cost of policing. However, I believe the residents and business owners in town are appreciative of the increase in policing presence who continue to make our town safe and a place where people choose to live. The water and sewer utility. The water and sewer utility is projected to show a deficit again in 2024-25 in the amount of $86,772. The revenue for this department comes solely from the user fee charges for water and sewer services. This operation has a significant amount of long-term debt, as the extension of services and the maintenance of current infrastructure is expensive. One of our biggest line item expenses for this facility is the interest on long-term debt. When the facility does run a deficit, the shortfall is covered by the property tax dollars. That is why Town Council in 2010 set a policy that anyone wishing to take advantage of municipal sewer services had to be annexed into the town of Kensington. All users of services are now part of the town of Kensington. Every effort is made to operate this facility efficiently. We are in the last year of an approved annual water and sewer rate increase, and will be looking at applying for a rate increase in sewer and water rates for our 2025 calendar year. All rate increases must be approved by IRAC, and we are required to make an application to IRAC and justify the need for such an increase. The fire department. Fire department is also funded by user fees. No revenue from the fire department is used to cover costs for the delivery of services to the residents of Kensington. The fire department does provide fire services to residents of Kensington, as well as contracted fire services to the rural municipality of Malpeque and the Fire District 1910. The fees charged to all three areas are set on a cost recovery basis and are also set to generate a small surplus each year to enable the fire department to build a reserve for the purchase of replacement equipment. The last few years, the fire department has actually run a small deficit, but we anticipate a small surplus at the end of the this next fiscal year coming up of approximately $36,000. Credit Union Center. This facility was assumed by the town of Kensington at the request of the Kensington Area Recreation Association, who were struggling to keep the doors open and were not able to invest in improvements to lower operating costs. Did you know that the grant from the provincial government has dropped from $15,000 20 years ago to $8,500 in 2023? Additionally, about 10 years ago, the provincial government decided to start charging HST on all user fees at the Credit Union Center. This means an increase in revenue to the province at an estimated cost, or an estimated value of $55,000 in 2023. Just imagine if this revenue was kept at the Credit Union Center and put towards the operating costs of the facility. Granted, the provincial government and the federal government do step up with capital improvement funds that equates to approximately 73% of the cost. However, keep in mind that the Credit Union Center still has to fund the additional, or the last 27%. The town of Kensington has budgeted to cover 15.5% of the operating cost for this facility in 2024, or an increase of $60,000 to a total of $96,000. The remaining operator costs must be recovered by user fees. We feel this contribution is fair, as the town of Kensington's population represents approximately that portion of the wider service area who use the facilities. We fully understand the impact increased ice rental rates have on the users, and I do trust that the users fully understand the impact the Credit Union Center deficits have on the ability of the town of Kensington to balance its budget. The annual contribution to this facility in 2024-25 will mean that every resident of Kensington will now be contributing around $45 per person per year through property taxes toward the operation of the facility, whether they use the facility or not. We do feel this investment for the town is justifiable, and the town residents are supportive of this decision. During the past fiscal year, many renovations and updates, approximately $2.4 million, have taken place at the Credit Union Center. These renovations have taken place for two main reasons. One, to address concerns from the user group who use the facility, and also to put in place ways to reduce operating costs, such as solar panels and LED lighting. As the owners of the facility, we will do everything we can to control costs and look for areas to save money and make the facility the best it can be and still provide competitive ice rental rates. But in the end, it is a user-pay facility. Obviously, the more we can rent ice time, the better it is for the facility. Although the facility is open throughout the day, the user groups are not in a position to rent ice time during the weekday, as the users are in school or the coaches are working. However, weekends are very busy, and this past weekend was probably one of the busiest ones. The budget is indicating a projected deficit of $45,000 for the 2024-25 fiscal year. This shortfall will have to be funded by the town of Kensington property tax dollars. This will increase the amount of shortfall owed to the town to around $750,000 at the end of fiscal 2024-25. This is debt in addition to that which has already been allocated to the Credit Union Center and is not included in the current ice rental. Now, town of Kensington operations. The sources of revenue are from property taxes, provincial operating grants, revenues from the rental of facilities, and revenue from a fee for service we offer to a company out of British Columbia in providing criminal record checks. These revenue sources are intended to meet all the operating costs associated with the town, such as wages, utility fees, such as electricity, fuel oil, heating oil, telephone, propane, etc., loan interest, insurance, operational expenditures, depreciation, etc. The major expense is wages, as we are a service operation that provides policing services, snow clearing, municipal planning, water and sewer billing and collection, maintenance costs associated with buildings and infrastructure, etc. Our budget for the 2024-25 year for town is projected to show revenues of a little over $2.6 million and expenditures of just about $2.6 million, or a surplus of $12,643. Our capital expenditure plans for 2024-25 are minimal. Mr. Baker has requested his department heads present a bare bones capital list, and then he has trimmed it more. Until such time as we start to benefit from the increased property tax revenues from the development and the new business park and housing developments being proposed, we will have to continue to be very strategic about what capital projects we are able to support. When you look at the current list of capital expenditures, you will notice that even with a trimmed-down budget, we are still looking at expending a little over $1 million in capital projects. And our 5-year plan calls for over $12 million on capital projects. Without sufficient revenues, these projects cannot be done. I trust this gives everyone a bit of an insight into the challenges that are addressed when putting together a financial plan. Thank you, of course, to all staff and councillors for doing your part to make sure that we do make the best possible decisions for short and long-term viability and sustainability of the town of Kensington. And thank you as well to the residents and business owners who have provided their support and input. Council, I just wanted to read that into the record, and it's on the website, and you all have a copy of it. But sometimes we don't probably put enough thought into what challenges there are and what some of our limitations are and what causes some of the limitations when we're trying to do a budget. Anyway, having said all that, if any comments on the budget that is proposed, which is request for decision number 25. No, it's not a request for, no, it's not a, this is not a, that's right. This is just a plan, and what will happen is in 2 weeks' time, we will actually call a special meeting probably at 6 o'clock on March the 25th, I think it is, which is just before our committee of council, to actually formally adopt the budget. There may be some more minor changes between now and then, but that is the plan right now. This is the plan that we have to bring forward. Council, are there any questions or any comments on the budget that is being presented? Councillor Gland.
Are we going to go over department by department, or just if we have something?
All right, why don't we do that?
We don't have to, but I was just curious.
Yeah, I think I'll do that way. Are there any questions on, first of all, Town Hall, on the budget plan there? Hearing none, we'll move to the next one, which is the Fire Department. Hearing none, let's move to the next department, which is General Government. No questions? Moving right along to the Police Department. Councillor Gland.
You're going so fast here, I can't keep up.
Oh, sorry.
No, I had one on the police, I'm just trying to get down to it here now.
I wasn't trying to go too fast. I just figured if you had something marked,
No,
you would have known.
I did, but I was just, on the police department wages, police recoverable, what's that?
That is when we have an officer seconded to the,
Okay.
what's it called, the Joint Task Force, is that what? JFO?
Okay,
That, okay?
yeah.
All right,
I remember that now, I just couldn't.
yeah.
That would also cover the Cavendish Beach Music Festival
Yes.
and any other similar items, yeah, that would get reimbursed by the RCMP or the provincial and federal government.
Any other questions, council, on police? Okay,
I think the 1,800, I think it was there, I've seen somewhere.
yeah,
That's for, I assume that's for Leo, is it?
yeah, K-9 expenses. It
yeah.
might actually be high, because I think right now, we didn't change the budget, because I believe a lot of the expenses are going to be covered by something else, but we didn't bother taking it out of the budget at this stage. Again, we left it in.
Okay, I guess my other question on that then, if for some reason we have other expenses, and I mean like, not so much in training, but like vet bills and that sort of thing, would that come from another source as well, or is that something?
We understand that once Leo is registered, the vet bills, the food, and all the training is going to be covered elsewhere. But there are some expenditures still until Leo gets registered in that program, and I'm not sure where that stands, but that's what we understand is going to happen. So those expenditures could be minimal. Any other questions, council? All right, what about Public Works? Councillor Glant?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. One question on Public Works, I think the public work wages, 129, I think it's down from last year. Is that because we have one less?
We have a part-time employee now, and that's what the changes are. And keep in mind that the 129 does not include the indirect wages, which is really, it's 129 plus 28, so it's around 160, so it's down from 204 to 160. Any other questions, council? Hearing none, we'll move along to the train station. Hearing none, we will move along to the recreation and parks. Moving along to Credit Union Center. Councillor Glant?
On the Credit Union Center, it's shown, was it 45, I think, for a loss?
Correct.
But that's not, of course, that's not including the 60 that the town has
Yes,
put forward.
that's with the 60, the additional 60 in there, we're still showing a $45,000
Yeah,
loss.
that's what I mean, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that 60 doesn't wipe that out. If we didn't have that 60 in, that would be 105.
That's, yeah, okay, that was I guess, my next question,
All right.
okay.
All right, thank you. Any other questions on Credit Union Center, Council? All right, then the sales of services is the next one. Councillor Glant?
Thank you, Worship. I have one on that one as well. I think it's, just curious, the net revenue is 166,401.
Right.
So that, where does that go? Is that replaced somewhere else within the budget, or is that just sit there for, that's a revenue from that department, right?
It becomes cash to the town. It enters into our cash flow requirements.
So like general government or whatever?
Yeah, well, it's becomes cash. We
Okay.
just keep everything, it generates, that's how much cash is generated in surplus, and that is being spent elsewhere, whether it's on policing or whatever. It can be used wherever. It just becomes part of our cash flow for the town to pay the bills.
Okay, so it's actually not going into any other department?
No.
It could go anywhere. It's not,
It's used wherever it's needed, yeah.
so it's not actually
Not designated for a particular spot.
designated in here anywhere?
No.
Okay.
No, correct. Councillor Doucette.
Thanks, Your Worship. I'm going in reverse here. Can I go back to the Credit Union Center for just a quick question?
Yeah.
The sign rentals, is that like the big billboards around the facility?
It is the big billboards around the facility, and additionally, the new ones that we put along the new walkway. That's why there's a bit of an increase there.
Okay. Yeah, I actually love that idea with the new ones. But just a quick question: what is the cost to put one of those up? Like, what's the cost to the businesses for that?
The small ones.
The large ones, even.
The
What's
largest?
the large ones?
I don't know.
And the
I
reason.
think is it 200 a year or something like that? I think it's around it might be 250 a year. It's somewhere around I think it's between 200 and 300, but I wouldn't swear to it. Robert's
Okay.
not here, so I can't ask him, but I know they've increased it some over the last few years a little bit, and it might be going up again, but I'm not sure what it is. I think it's around 250 or going to 250.
Okay, no, that sounds good. No, the reason why I asked is because somebody brought it up to me the other day, and I don't know, I just think that could be something we could look at too, at raising up. If it's a yearly thing, it's a pretty good, it's a pretty good site for those companies in that facility, so something to think about anyway.
It used to be $100, I think,
Yeah.
quite a few years ago. It has been increasing, but you're right. There's value in there, and I think Robert is working with the suppliers on that.
Okay.
And the ones that are over the smaller ones that are double-sided, so you're getting advertising both sides, I think they're $200. I think they're $200, but I'm not 100%.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Glant?
Thank you, Worship. Just wanted to touch on Councillor Doucette's point as well on the signs. I know a few years ago, they were only 100, so I think there'd be quite a number of them down there. I'm not sure how many would be there, but there'd be a lot.
Yeah.
Wonder if, I assume we're able to collect for all of them, and even that are there, if they don't pay, I assume the sign comes down. That would be the way it would work. Yeah, I would agree too that maybe we should look at an increase there. I think, and like you said, you're not sure what it is, if it's 250 or.
Actually, I think it is 250. I think I remember seeing some invoices or something. It's ringing a bell. That's, I think 250 is what we actually are charging right now for this past year.
Yeah, and I think, you know, I'm not obviously running the business, but I think most business owners, it is most of them are pretty visible, and, you know, it's great advertising for them. And the other question on that would be, there is some advertisement on the boards themselves. They'd probably be a little more again, would they, or not? Like on the board?
I can't answer that. I don't know if you can, Mr. Baker, whether there's a different rate for the,
I can't, no, but we can certainly check into it and find out exactly what they are, yeah.
I do know that Mr. Wood has been looking at that and wondering whether there's something can be done and taking a look at what rates we should be charging. Because I know it had gone up. He did say that it had gone up, but I'm not sure where things stand. I know he is evaluating some, but we'll look at it anyway. And that could be why I've bumped up or why we bumped up the rental rate, the sign rentals there. It might have been, I don't think it's all from those additional new ones. I'm not sure. I probably got that. Do you know where we got that figure from? Any other questions, council? All right, let's move along to, and no more questions on sales of services? All right, moving along to water and sewer utility. Hope I don't start coughing here, council. Any questions on water and sewer utility? Councilor Glant?
Thank you. I'm just, you mentioned in your opening remarks there regarding the deficit water and sewer. How is our collection going? Is it pretty reasonable, or is there a lot of areas that are not being, you know, is there people that are behind, or is it being
kept? You mean in the accounts receivable?
That's right, yes.
I don't think, we've been running good. No issues. We have a policy that was put in place 10 years ago, and staff have been following that policy, and I don't think we've had any major concerns since that's been put in place. There is a procedure if they fall behind. Do you know anything? Do you have any comments, Mr. Baker?
No, not really. I think our receivable would be at this point. I haven't looked at the receivable in a while, but I would suggest it would be similar to what it has been, hovering in the $40,000 to $45,000 range, I think, which the greater majority of it should be current. There shouldn't be anything too far outstanding, and we did put the policy in place about a decade ago, and since that time we have, I believe we shut off one person in the past 10 years for non-payment.
All right, any other questions on water and sewer utility? Councilor Mann.
No, thank you, Worship. So is 2024 our last increase through IRAC? Because it says about applying for 2025, so.
Yeah, that's.
So this is the last year. This is the last year of the three.
This is the last year, so we
years.
do have to apply for a rate increase for next year. All right. Then if there's no more questions on that, let's go back to the summary. And as you can see on the summary, we are showing a deficit on water and sewer of $86,000, a surplus on the town a little over $12,000, surplus in the fire department of $36,000, and a deficit of the credit union center of $45,000 for a net deficit of $82,000. We are not allowed to run a deficit with the exception of water and sewer. You are allowed to run a deficit in water and sewer, so we actually, if you take that out, we probably got $4,000 to spare. But we don't take revenue from the credit union center or the fire department into our town revenue. Town just ends up having to support them if they run in deficit, so, but in total. Any questions, council, on the summary and on the budget that has been presented? We still don't know what some figures might be on revenue. There may be some figures come through on equalization that if we do find some extra there, then we might give it a little more money to put. We might probably end up just reducing the revenue stream somewhere else. Councillor Glant?
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd like to give credit where credit is due, and I guess I must say you did a pretty good job here of giving us a complete overview in your opening, or in the remarks there before the budget. I just want to say that I think I've been in this business for quite a few years. When you put both my latest terms and my previous terms together, and I think way back in the 90s we dropped the tax rate maybe about 5 cents at one time, if I remember correctly. But in all my years, I don't ever remember, and I think I'm safe in saying this, that the tax rate has ever went up in Kensington, which is a credit to all councils over the years to be able to do that. And you mentioned that in here. So, and you also mentioned where you don't like to be too hard on the provincial government, but at the same time, I think the HST you mentioned in here as well. I remember we fought that when it first came in back a few years ago. They talked about that, and I think it might have been, what year was it at HST they started putting
It
that
was
on?
about 10 years ago, I think, or
2000.
2012, I
Yeah.
believe it was.
And at the time, obviously, I wasn't on council, but I remember them talking about it, and I think the Federation, maybe even way back before that, was when they originally mentioned it, was fighting it as well. And I don't believe that there should be HST on sport and recreation user fees in any municipality, let alone in ours being included in that. So maybe that's something, maybe we could go back to the Federation, and Councillor Mann is on there, and I'm past president, and sit in on some of the meetings as well. Maybe something we could chuck back at them again, the possibility of reducing that HST for places like Credit Union Centre in all municipalities across the island, for that matter.
Well, good luck if you can.
Well, I'm just chucking that out there. It's something that I don't believe should be charged, and because the government is trying to encourage people to be active, and families to be active, and you know, get their kids involved in things, and then they put the HST on that, and I think it's something the government should look at. And when you look at the government, I forget what the exact amount was, but it was a fair amount of money that they had special warrants out for that wasn't even budget in their own budget over the last, as the Auditor General said, over the last few years. So, and then they charge municipalities with a little bit of HST on sporting events. So I think it's something that all municipalities should look at fighting myself.
Well, as I mentioned in my remarks as well, that back 20 years ago, they used to give rinks, like we used to get $20,000. They've cut that back to $8,500. It was been cutting back, so it's cut back to $8,500 in 2023. But also 10 years ago, or approximately, they started charging HST. So when you start to look at it, they're getting $55,000 revenue and cutting back what they're giving us. It's just making it tougher for recreation facilities to survive. They're forcing it all down on user fees, and the users are complaining, and they're blaming it all on the town of Kensington and the owners of the facilities. But the bottom line is the money has to come from somewhere, and we're limited in what we can do. Anyway, enough said on that one, I guess, at this stage. We all know what the situation is. All right, if everybody prepared to, at this stage of the game, recommend that we bring this budget forward in a couple of weeks with whatever little fine tuning that we might end up having to do. We don't need a resolution or anything, do we? So just a show of hands, if we're all kind of, I guess, tentatively in agreement with this budget as being presented, with any minor changes being insignificant. It could be an increase in, if we have an increase in equalization, we'll reduce the gain of, what we'll do is we reduce the gain and loss on disposal of assets by the equal amount, which is lots. Yes, Councillor Glant.
You mentioned equalization there. Is there no indication yet when they're going to come forward with that, or is
We're still waiting. You,
Yeah, no, we don't have any update on equalization. We've got our up-to-date assessment to be able to calculate the property tax revenue. The property tax credits, we've been informed that there is no increase this year, again this year. And this is the third year in a row we've saw no increase in our municipal tax credits, our property tax credits. We're still working on 2021 numbers as far as that's concerned. So any increase you're seeing in the property tax credit is due to our growth and growth alone. There's no increase in the actual credit from the province. And the equalization, we've not received any information on it at this point, but I would anticipate we will prior to the budget coming forward on the 25th or whatever that date is.
And furthermore, the tax credit that Mr. Baker was just talking about, we have to pay back that overpayment that they gave us in error. So that means that our tax credit is actually, if you look at it on the general, you'll see that last year we had budgeted $56,000, I think it was, and this year we're budgeting $31,000. So we have to pay $2,000 a month back for 2 years to get that overpayment paid back. So not only we are not getting an increase, we're being penalized, or not penalized, we're being forced to pay back the money that they overpaid us in error. All right. Show of hands if we're prepared to move this budget forward as with the plan as it is right now. All right. It's so moved. Not moved, so whatever you call it. So recommended and so noted. We'll call it that. Any other matters, council, that you have to bring before council tonight? None? Okay. We'll move right along to correspondence. The first item of correspondence, of course, is a letter from the Prince County Hospital, just giving us an update on what they are trying to do to deal with some of the current and ongoing challenges facing Prince County Hospital. So that's just received that for information, just to let you know. I received that, and I thought you should all know. And I continue, as I put in my remarks, my report, I have discussions ongoing all the time as well. And more, we're going to try and keep the pressure on to make sure we get the Prince County Hospital back to where it should be. And we're not going to give up on it. The other piece of correspondence is the letter that you all have. So we just received that information, correct, Council? Okay. The information from, somebody have a question? Oh, yes. Do you want to retire for this? Yeah, we're going to start this, yeah. Okay, I'll retire. Let the record reflect that Councillor Mann left the chamber at 7:53 p.m. And Council, the correspondence before you is from Lynn Ann Hogan, and they are looking for a donation to help offset some of their operating costs for the U11 recreation for the Kensington Junior Vipers, and she is requesting an amount up to $200. Council, what is your wish? Councillor Glant.
Thank you, Your Worship. I know it's only a small request, but I just want to make a point. We just approved a budget to go ahead here in a couple of weeks' time, and I guess as you made in your remarks, and it's in the budget where we're the residents of Kensington are putting forth about $60,000, which is, what was it, $45 per resident. So we're kind of already supporting these type of things right there, really. And I know where they're coming from, and I know what they're trying to do, because I've been there and done that as a coach or a manager of a team. And I'm sure they are also hitting businesses within the community as well, which would be kind of double dipping to a certain extent. And I know, again, I know it's only $200, but I just wanted to make that point that I think maybe if this goes forward tonight, but in the future, maybe we should look at putting something out there where we are putting that kind of money into the rink on behalf of residents. And I think maybe we're already doing our part in sponsoring things such as this. Thank you.
Yeah, and your point is well made, Councillor Glanton, which this particular one is for this year, I believe. Next year, we may want to reconsider because we're upping the ante. And when these requests come forward next year, we may want to be a little more strategic in whether how flush we are with them. Anyway, Council, what's your wish on this? Do you want to do, Councillor Toombs?
I'll make a motion to donate the $200 to the, what is it called?
It's the U11 Recreation Kensington Junior Vipers.
That one.
That one. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor McCray. Any discussion, Council? All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. Councillor McCray, would you let Councillor Mann back in? The time is 7:55 p.m. We will give Mr. Baker a break for a minute. All right.
We will be signing off on that. We'll be signing off online before you do that.
Yes. After we make the motion to go in the camera. So it's officially online. If you just give us all a minute here where Mr. Baker had to leave the room here for a couple of minutes. And when he comes back, we will be going into in camera. So for all those who are viewing at home, once we make the motion to go in camera online, we will then be signing off, and we will see you next month. So we'll say farewell right now. Actually, we can probably, I'll entertain a motion right now to go into in camera under Section 119D of the Municipal Government Act. So moved by Councillor Glant, seconded by Councillor McCray. All those in favor? No, Councillor Toombs, pardon me. Seconded by Councillor Toombs, right? I was looking at you.
She's got more hair.
Yeah, well, moved by Councillor Glant, seconded by Councillor Toombs. All those in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, and good night to those viewing online.